Hey everyone, the 3.0 update for Gundam Breaker Mobile is here, and it's the biggest update the game has seen in a very long time. Now there's a lot of shit to love here and a lot of shit to really detest, so it's mostly a positive but not completely positive update, and by and large, most of the updates that they've added this time around mostly make the game easier in a way that kind of feels not so great if you're a long-term player like I am. Now, I'm going to step out and first call out the biggest and most exciting change of this update. The name of the game is officially Gundam Breaker Mobile in America. Holy shit. Now, it took 2 years, but they finally changed the name over to Gundam Breaker Mobile. And I'm very happy with this, and it looks and it feels so pure. I, for one, always considered Gundam Breaker Mobile to be the true name of this game. It was way less words than GBGW. It was way less of an awkward word phrase soup. And honestly, I love the Gundam Breaker series, so, Gundam Breaker Mobile just seemed like the logical extension of where we went in like Gundam Breaker 1, 2, and 3. Now, for those of you who don't know why the name was changed in the first place, the only reason this game was called GBGW in America was because New Gundam Breaker was the only Gundam Breaker to ever get a US release, and that game was so awful that it besmirched the good name of Gundam Breaker in America, so it was bad enough that they had to change the name of this game. Now, ironically enough, you might think that 2 years later, people have forgotten that New Gundam Breaker was a thing, and maybe that's the reason they switched the name back, but you'd be wrong about that. The real reason they switched the name back is money. They switched the name back to Gundam Breaker Mobile to save money because Bandai has finally decided to invest in advertising this game now that it's been around for 2 years. And if it has 2 different names, then advertising it would cost twice as much money because they'd have to make 2 of everything. So anyway, that's the reason that the game is finally called Gundam Breaker Mobile in America. Long live Gundam Breaker Mobile, same as it ever was. Anyway, I'm just going to gloss over the pole suit this week. It's an SD Dragon Gundam. Don't give a shit about it. It has a step-up banner with 3 Mark Material Alphas. Not a great suit, but the banner is very, very fair. I got 4 parts and 5 poles. Moving on, so let's look at this update. The first huge thing I'm going to point out in the 3.0 update is the suit switch button. This lets you switch between all the units on your team, and it makes the game a lot more easier and a lot more fun. So overall, that's a good thing. Now, fascinatingly, this also means that if you're playing those ultra hard daily clan missions, you can actually shift yourself into other people's Gundams, which feels amazing but a little dirty. Check it out, Mark Gerard, I stole your Gundam. Ah, but fuck, I don't know how to use it, so I instantly died. Anyway, so that's cool. I like that a lot. I think that's going to lead to some more creative gameplay setups, and I'm also hoping that in multiplayer that can lead to I don't know, a lot of interesting things. Anyway, so next up is the Custom Stage Maker. The Custom Stage Maker runs on these new horrible items called plugs. Unfortunately, you need a bunch of plugs to make what kind of stage you want, and right now they've only released a very limited amount of plugs, which therefore limits the kind of stages you can make. Now, I will say that there seems to be a daily reward for playing, not winning, 1 custom stage a day. So far this seems like a daily chore that they haven't really fully opened up to where it's like a fun Mario Maker thing or anything like that. That being said, now that I do have the tool in front of me, I can kind of see how limited the actual options in Gundam Breaker Mobile are for customizing a stage, which is a little bit of a letdown. The next big change I'm going to go over is the operator menu. The operator menu is not that big a deal actually. The operator menu just lets you choose an attribute and a word tag to boost, and then if the Gundams on your team are rocking that, you get a positive buff. Now, it then asks you to throw down some parts and a pilot onto a grid to determine how big of a buff you're going to get. Now, I'm not sure how I completely feel about this because it honestly adds next to nothing to the game, aside for another slight knockdown in the overall difficulty, but it's kind of tedious too. It does have an auto function that takes that away. So for now, I'm just going to lean that this is a neutral but annoying change. Not that bad, but not that good either. Next up is the worst change in the 3.0 update, in my formal opinion. There has been a massive reconfiguration to the way the battle circuit works and how the challenge of the battle circuit plays out. overall, this makes the battle circuit easier, but it makes it so much easier that it's not fun anymore. Like, now you just get to use whatever part you have based on how upgraded it is, how many times. Which, in my case, means I can pretty much just use any suit I want in every round. And that's absolutely ruined the challenge of the battle circuit. Because what made the battle circuit so cool was figuring out bare minimum builds to get through it and using parts that you wouldn't normally use because you were desperate. But now that's all gone and there's really no point. It's really disappointing actually, because if I'm being real, the battle circuit was the game for me. Like, every week I tuned in to either play the battle circuit or rest up for a week when I would play the battle circuit next week. Like, I hate this. I really hate it. They ruined my favorite part of the game. And I can technically still do, weird builds, but there's like no point to it now. And on the flip side, even though they've made the battle circuit super way easier, they've rebalanced the needs of the circuit. So instead of having to finish the whole circuit in 20 minutes, you now have to finish it in 10. So that also really forces you to go all out with OP builds in the new battle circuit to get kills as fast as possible. And again, I'm torn about this because it just feels like not a challenge at all. Because if you get through it super fast, that's no fun. If you don't make a cool suit, that's no fun. Like, literally, they drain the battle circuit of fun. I mean, I guess this is all good for people just starting the game, but as a long-term player, I feel completely betrayed by this. Because I know the battle circuit's been getting easier and easier every week, but I can't believe they would just freaking nerf it that hard. I'm so disappointed in this. Anyway, not every aspect of the update made the game easier though. There is a single change that did increase the difficulty of one area of the game. Ironically enough, the joke scenario missions. So, going over that, the charity suit this week is the Hildorfer from MS Igloo. Now, the Hildorfer is a famous Xeon gun tank clone, which was later directly rebuilt into the Zamel from Gundam 0083. Notice the similar face. Now, the Hildorfer fights pretty decently in this game. Its hilarious tank design really breaks a lot of the game's mechanics and preset limits. But anyway, since the launch of the weekly scenario mission, this mission has basically been a throwaway mission that has good rewards, but it was a complete joke to play. The only rules were your playable character had to be the weekly charity unit of the week. And you would just pop in, your crew would do the work, and you'd survive and see what it did. Now, in the past couple weeks, they've added these weekly bingo boards to push the charity suit up to level 90 every week. And when they started doing that, the scenario missions became even less relevant than they were before. So with 3.0, they've added a brand new extreme scenario mission, where you have to use the weekly charity unit all by itself and score a win against maxed out enemies. Now the challenge here is that because this is so hard, you really need to upgrade the shit out of the charity unit and push it as hard as it can. And then you have to build a really elaborate Gundam build around the charity unit. Now, the Hildorfer is such a weird unit to start this off with, since it abnormally only has 4 parts. So that made it a pretty crazy suit to pimp out. I had to stick legs on it and make it a whole freaking god machine. So yeah, I guess this is replacing the battle circuit as the new weekly what they used to call these things. It wasn't dynamite missions. Anyway, this is the new hardest mission in the game, I guess, because the battle circuit's been nerfed and they got rid of those other hard missions. So yeah, that's all I'm going to go over for this video because there was way too much content to cover. So next time around, I'm going to do the story missions and the clan multiplayer missions. I'm going to do a live stream probably on Saturday morning to try and knock both of those out. So tune in, you guys, especially if you're in my clan. We will get together and we'll knock out those multiplayer missions. All right, thanks you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.